Snapchat. Yeah, we live. Hey, Shalom.
Shalom.
The house of David, 144,000. That's just another lesson coming back at you. The GMS Dallas camp. All right, we're going into some customs and history. First and foremost, we're going to give all honors and praises out to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua,
Bahashem Rakafadash.
and the honors out to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, those that taught us the truth, the real one. Shalom unto you. 144,000, the numeral 1/3. All right, so what we're going to do here today in this lesson, we're going to go into the manners and customs, because that's very important to understand, right? When you're just walking in this truth, because these are the things that our forefathers, they abided by. This was a way of life for us back then. All right, so it's very, very important for us to have that knowledge and have that understanding, and even exercise these same tools in the same mannerisms today. Even though we are here in Great Babylon the Great, sighing and crying, as Ezekiel 9:4 says, the Heavenly Father may send His Son, Yahweh, by Yahushua, to come down and deliver us in this last captivity that we're in. So it's our duty to rehearse the righteous acts, right? And in doing so, having knowledge and understanding of the manners and customs of the scriptures is important.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. The scriptures say, "Seek ye the old paths." So yeah. Matter of fact, go ahead. Can the brother get Jeremiah 17:4 too?
This is Jeremiah chapter 6 and verse 16. It says, "Thus saith Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, stand ye in the ways and see, and ask for the old paths.
Yep.
Where is the good way, and walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls."
Right, because this place we have no rest. Right, the scriptures say we have no continuing city, and as we get into this manner and custom of being a shepherd, right? The shepherd their occupation was to move around. They wasn't stationary and stayed in one place. They had to manage with what they had and the resources that they had, and be able to make do, and still take care of the flock. Which us being here, Micah 2:10, it says this place is not our rest. We're passing through. And we have to maintain as ourselves as well as, maintaining the flock as well, which is a big responsibility. Oh,
I got the etymology of that word shepherd. I don't know if I'm getting it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course.
This is the etymology of that word shepherd. It says, a man who leads, tends, and guards sheep in a pasture.
Mm-hmm.
Herder from a herd, and it says to tend, to guard, to watch.
Oh, yep. See, and that's all the things we've been called to do: to tend, to guard, and to watch.
Yep.
Right? We standing upon our watch of the watchtower, right? And the Lord has called us to be leaders, but that also comes from us serving Him and following Him, right? It's a saying in the world. People say, you have to follow before you can actually lead, right? And right now we take it on a role of following perfection, so we can be perfected at the end of the day. Right, our brother got Jeremiah 17.
Yeah, I got it. 17:4.
Yep.
Okay. This is Jeremiah 17:4. It reads, "And thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee. I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in a land which thou knowest not."
Right. So the Lord had cursed us pretty much, and we had lost our heritage. Of course, losing the knowledge of who we are and things of that such. Us being Israel, and that Yahushua came for us, but also, even the small things of the daily life of, shepherding and tending to the flock, right? That custom, those things that were ingrained in us to, work through you on a major, from taking it from a small level up into a greater level, how you move and act, that hardness of being able to abide in the cold and in the heat and working a hard job. Like we are far removed from that, so that's part of our heritage too, is being humble and meek, being able to maneuver in hard places, right? You had something else more?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the book of Isaiah chapter 40 and verse 11. "He shall feed his flock like a shepherd. He shall gather the lambs with his arm and carry them in his bosom, and shall gently lead those that are with young.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's speaking of Yahushua. You know, Yahushua is the main shepherd, right? In John 10, which we're gonna get into, you know, is the Yahushua is known as that good shepherd. You know, so and we follow him, and he's our example, and of course, you know that's trickled down into David, which we're gonna get into a little bit of that too, how his shepherding and how he was
Never know.
okay, yep. See, that's the spirit. But we're gonna get into, you know, his shepherding and how he made a name for himself as being a good shepherd, and that job, right, that occupation led him and you know, proceeded his reputation. You know, he was able to make himself known off of his diligence of being a good shepherd and you know, having that watch and being made strong, and his faith where he could, you know, knowing that he could protect his people, you know.
Yeah, that's why the Lord said in Luke 16, you know, he says, he that is faithful, you know, in little business, right, shall be faithful over much.
Right.
You know, and so, you know, because shepherding, you know, that's what, you know, you brothers finna go into. You know, that was a despised job. You know, a job that was looked down upon. It was nitty gritty. You know, you down in the trenches. It's not a job that, you know, most people, you know, would voluntarily sign up for.
Right.
You know, just like, you know, preaching his word, you know, tending to the sheep that ultimately the Lord's just seeing how well, he already knows, but he's showing us, right, how responsible we are, you know, with what this little he's given us, man.
Yeah.
You see, and so, you know, ultimately, if we can prove ourselves worthy and responsible in these little matters, we've already proven that we can handle bigger matters, man.
Right. We can go ahead and get to that to the actual custom.
This is Shepherd's Life of the Care of the Sheep and Goats. This is chapter 18, the Manners and Customs. All right. It says a large number of sheep in Palestine, from the days of Abraham down to the modern times, sheep have abounded in the Holy Land, and the Arabs of the Bible land have largely been dependent through the centuries upon sheep for their living.
Right. So as small as a job that it may be, or as minuscule as people may have thought that shepherding was, a lot of the life was relying on the shepherd, right, and their job and their ability to healthily bring the flock to the cities, right, and keep them in good health, you know, through year round, you know.
Yeah.
You got it.
So the Jews of the Bible times were first shepherds and then farmers, but they never abandoned entirely their shepherd life. The large number of sheep in the land can be understood about that in Job, the 42nd chapter. And King Solomon in the temple dedication sacrificed 120,000 sheep. First Kings 8th chapter.
Yep. So, pretty much, when you go into the custom of shepherding even deeper, but that I don't believe that chapter mentions it, or that paragraph of the chapter. That's just, they got sub chapters. We're gonna go through the rest of it too.
Yeah.
But the youngest son was always the one to be the shepherd. So the firstborn was the shepherd, and then it was passed down. And if the father had another child, it was passed down to the next generation. So then after that, the youngest son would be the shepherd as a man, grew more into his his age, right? He was then made a husband, right? Which you go into farming, right? That's why it said that they and went to eventually to farmers, right? The older you got, you would proceed to do farm, right? So you can go ahead to the next chapter.
This is the fat-tailed sheep.
Uh,
Or the actual next chapter.
yeah, the actual.
Yeah.
Let's skip that chapter. Oh, it's gonna go into it. Yeah.
That's it, right?
No, yeah.
Passes on the shepherd's talk to the next younger boy. And so the job is passed from older to younger until the youngest is of all has become the family shepherd.
Yeah. Can we get Genesis 30:29 and Genesis 26:13?
So you see how each son has their time period to where they prove themselves fit, or they're trained up to be responsible for those small matters.
Yeah.
Small but important. It really be the small things that's most important. Like today, you could look at some of the most despised jobs. A garbage man, or a sanitation worker.
Mm-hmm.
Like that may seem like a nasty, which it is a nasty and gritty job. Job that a lot of people wouldn't want to do. But that's important for society.
Yeah.
So
Matter of fact, talk about that as I might be able to find it real quick. But
How's it worded?
like pretty much how all these like it starts out as a scholar, he needs time to study.
but then around 38.
Yeah. And then okay. Yeah, bring it up.
Kind of just land back up with the precept. This is Proverbs 22:6. Train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. And that's basically going into the exact same thing what we're reading in here, because even in these times, training up our children, our sons, our daughters, in the ways of righteousness is Yahweh Shah will stick with them. So you see that this is a custom that goes way back then. We're talking about farming and being a sheep herder, and husbandry and so forth and so on. Training them up in the right ways, the right customs of Yahweh Shah. Okay, that way it sticks with them. It becomes like muscle memory, and that is the way the path. That's that old path that the men of the Lord have been ordained to return back to. But it all starts because when we first came into this truth, we were all babes, kids, children, right? So we had to grow in this thing, understanding, having milk and then the meat scriptures and so forth and so on. So as we are getting trained up, it is very important, when you reflect on the ancient days, it was the same manner of customs of being trained up.
Yeah.
So that way you keep that custom and that manner within your lineage and your family.
You see that even where Yahweh Shah's walk as he passed that down to Peter.
God.
When he was about to go and die and offer up his sacrifice, he said, you love me, feed my sheep.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we have been brought into today as well. So ultimately, we following Yahweh Shah, which of course he had to go through that himself, and he was offered up as a sacrifice. But we were brought into take care of the flock as well, you know. And being followers of Yahweh Shai, as you just read in Isaiah, you know, he was a shepherd, so we have to be following his footsteps, you know. Did you had that Genesis?
God. This is Genesis chapter 30. You want verse 29?
Yeah, we get Genesis 30, 29.
God.
You got 26.
This is Genesis chapter 30 and verse 29. And he said unto him, Thou knowest how I have served thee, and how thy cattle was with me. Verse 30.
Mm-hmm. So that's Jacob talking to Laban, right? As he's serving and working him, which Jacob came from substance, you know, because that tradition was passed down from, you know, even if you were wealthy, you still had to come shepherd, right? And that's what we have. The scriptures say, you know, I know thy works and thou art rich.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
we're rich in spirit, even though we don't have substance, but we are rich in spirit through our history, through our customs, and through how the Lord has dealt with us throughout generations.
Right.
You know, so you see that lineage of shepherding all throughout the scriptures, even from Jacob and before. You know, so Jacob was a shepherd, and matter of fact, we can read Genesis 26 too right now.
It's Genesis 26 and 13. And the man waxed great. I'm sorry, 12. Then Isaac sowed in that land and received in the same year 100-fold. And the Lord Yahweh blessed him.
See, Isaac has substance, right? And yet Jacob still had to take on that subservient, you know, ideally, right, or commonly known as a subservient job, right, to be a shepherd, right? So that's what you could say is a rite of passage, right, to be in this thing. You know, we all have to, you know, shepherd and tend to the flock, right, to be, right, because can we go back to the etymology of a shepherd? If you could bring that back up.
Yeah.
And just bring it full circle.
Kind of, if I may add to it, that's when you look at Yahweh Shai in his position. You know, he came from, of course, you know, the heavens were, you know, but he came down here as well as a servant.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? And he really, you know, brought himself low to be a servant, to, you know, to teach that. Why? To be able to teach, you know, to bring back those customs, that mannerism to the flock. You know, so everything is done decently in order, as the scriptures.
No, you.
Even our King David, right? I'll read this precept. This is 1 Samuel 16 and 10. And it reads, Again, Jesse made 7 of his sons to pass before Samuel. And Samuel said unto Jesse, The Lord hath not chosen these. And Samuel, this is 11, Samuel said unto Jesse, Here are thy children? And he said, There remaineth yet the youngest. And behold, he keepeth the sheep. And Samuel said unto Jesse, Send and fetch him, for we will not sit down till he come hither. Sheep, then you
Before Moses, you know, pretty much, you know, took the command, took that mantle, or that charge from Yahweh to deliver the nation of Israel. Right, he went to Midian,
Right.
you know, and then what did he do in Midian? He met his wife, and then he was a shepherd. Right? So the Lord was, you know, training, instilling that mindset inside of Moses, you know, so he could be pretty much like a chief shepherd, if you will, over the nation of Israel. Because eventually, you know, Jethro, you know, gave that wise counsel to Moses, like, hey, listen, you pretty much need to have other little shepherds, you know, to help manage the span of control.
Yeah.
You know, so that's pretty much how Yahweh Shai is with his men, the 144,000 prophets. He's the chief shepherd, you know, and with this, you know, large flock, large multitude, you see, because I actually had it pulled up, but, you know, for time's sake, you know, but that large multitude, there's a span of control. You know, you need to have other men, you know, designated to pretty much, you know, keep everything in order. You got captains over 50s, captains over 100s, captains over 1000s.
Yeah.
You have co-shepherds.
Yep.
You know, the chief shepherds, and then you have various other men. You you know, who have various tasks, and then you also have animals. You know, you have dogs,
Right.
or whatever you have. You know, especially if you're talking about moving, you know, hundreds, thousands, you know, of animals, hundreds of miles. You know.
Yeah.
You still want the etymology on that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's a lot. This is etymology online. That word shepherd again. It says a man who leads, tends, and guards sheep in a pasture.
A man. Can you read that? Go ahead, read it again.
It says a man who leads, tends, and guards sheep in a pasture.
A man who leads, tends, and guards sheep in a pasture. Right. We've been called to be leaders, as well as followers, to be able to, you know, understand, like, you know, that we had to be taught and passed down this tradition from our Father, you know, which is Yahushua. But we have been brought up and raised up to be the leaders of the nation of Israel. You know.
Yeah, because even the brother Yuan in our camp, he likes to make mention all the time about how we're auditioning for kingship, and it starts with first having this, you know, this, you know, the practical things of the scriptures, but then it'll grow into something much bigger, to where we'll receive more responsibility. As you read in the parable, what is it, Matthew 25? That parable where the man went away to a far country and he, you know, divided certain talents amongst them, and then when he came back, because they were faithful over those particular talents, whatever it may be, in their particular individual case-by-case scenario, they were given rulership over this many cities, this, you know, this amount of land, so on and so forth, this amount of people. You know what I'm saying? So your brothers made mention of King David. King David was, you know, he tended to the sheep, man.
Yeah.
Before he came into that position of being a king. You know, and you know, they when he came up before the whole account with him and Goliath, when he came up, they were like looking. They didn't think that it was going to be him.
Right.
Essentially, they looked at all his brothers first, you know, so on and so forth. But he ended up being the one. I have a quick precept if I may.
Of course.
This is Sirach 11:5. It says, "Many kings have sat down upon the ground, and one that was never thought of hath worn the crown." So that's how the Heavenly Father works, man. He has a perpetual habit, as we could read in the scriptures, of glorifying those that are in the lowest state.
Yeah.
You know, that had humble beginnings, if you will. You know, though these humble beginnings, these times that we're in right now, being teachers, you know, growing to be leaders, as we're, you know, even still now, babes in this truth, we're being brought up on a level through the Spirit of power of Yahweh Shai to, you know, to lead, man. You know, and we have that example all throughout the scriptures. But y'all brothers got it.
Can you get that?
God, you want Proverbs first?
Yeah.
God, this is Proverbs chapter 30 and verse 31. And it reads, a greyhound and a he-goat also.
Can you start up one verse?
Gotcha. Yet this Proverbs 30 and verse 30. And it reads, a lion, which is the strongest among beasts, and turneth not away for any. Verse 31. A greyhound and a he-goat also, and a king against whom there is no rising up.
Yeah. So say, you know, a lion, right, is giving you things like these are things that are coming to you. If you read verse 29, right, these are 4 things that are coming, right, and it says a lion, right, the king of the jungle, right, and a rooster, right, and a male goat, and you know, because those things all, what do they all have in common, right? They're the leaders of their you know, pretty much that small cosmos that they're in. You know, a goat is used in the flock to lead, right? And we can jump to Jeremiah 50 as well, and 50 and 8.
This is Jeremiah chapter 50 and verse 8. Remove out of the midst of Babylon and go forth out of the land of the Chaldeans, and be as the he-goats before the flock.
Right, and be as the he-goats before the flock, because like you said, Rock had brought up how there was ultimately different animals within, you know, the occupation of leading the sheep.
Yeah.
Right, so you had dogs, you had goats as well, you had the sheep, and you also had the shepherd, right? The Lord has called us to be, you know, on the right-hand side, spiritual goats, to be the ones that, you know, because sheep are very foolish and they're scared. You know, they have a hard time going across a river or or some rocks, right? So what was used was somebody that looks like them, right? A goat, but much braver and more stout, because a damn goat would climb a mountain, you know. So the goat would go first and show the sheep that it's okay. That's what we're doing. We're coming in a state of putting our life on the line to show that it's all right.
So
You're gonna be all right. Yeah. You said what?
I said it's okay to hate Esau.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I know you want to,
Yeah.
So we showing them how to get to the peace,
Yeah, we do have enemies. Can I read that in the NLT?
Of course.
Jeremiah 50:8 in the New Living Translation. It says, "But now flee from Babylon, leave the land of the Babylonians, like male goats at the head of the flock. Lead my people home again." You see, so that's essentially through the Spirit what's taking place right now. A spiritual ark is being built, and we're calling out to the elect of our people, those who will receive it, to hey, all aboard, the plane's about to depart, man.
It's like a male goat.
Yeah.
No women.
Yeah,
Women can't teach.
Yeah.
Women can't lead.
I'll be able to quick one for y'all.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of going to the point y'all going to earlier, because that's the custom of the Lord, making them get out the mud. Like, you got to earn your stuff around here. You ain't finna just get no blessing.
Yeah.
Jacob had to wrestle an angel. Abraham had to go through his walk. About to slew Isaac. You read about all throughout the scriptures. Daniel, Job, the Lord make you earn stuff. And that's the same thing we got to do. We got to go through the hard, the straight gate. And like I was shot, worthy is the land that was slain to receive the wisdom, honor, and the glory. So we're following. But it says right here, Proverbs chapter 15 and verse 33. The fear of Yahweh Bashem Rashai is the instruction of wisdom, and before honor is humility. So you got to be abased. You got to go to that base state, being in that lowly position. Then the Lord will raise you up.
Okay.
This is Proverbs 27 and 23. It says, "Be thou diligent to know the state of thy flocks, and look well to thy herds." I'm getting NLT. "Know the state of your flocks, and put your heart," meaning your mind, "into caring for your herds." And we have beautiful living examples of that today with our elders, our apostles, our bishops, right? And that torch has been passed down to us, and this is why we've been admonished, to daily feed the sheep, man. Yep. Jeremiah the 3rd chapter, the Lord says, "I'm gonna, pretty much give unto you pastors and shepherds, which shall feed you with truth." See, that's pretty much, the Lord giving us leaders in these times to lead us out of Babylon as those male goats, and for us to know the state of our flocks. Because, if you just, tend to your sheep, once a week, best believe, you try to come back out there the next week, you're gonna be lost, man. So it's a daily job, man, to know the state of your flock. Keep your flock in the right mindset. And the mindset that the true shepherds will be keeping their flock in these times of what? Destruction is at hand, man. Don't get sucked back off into the cares of this world. That's keeping them in that right, sober-minded, estate, keeping them in that straight path, man.
Yep. Because sheep are they easily go off. They wander, and they'll get caught up in some BS. So that's what a good shepherd is supposed to use his tools as he's been taught to lead them, safely, so that they can get to their location.
Yeah, you said it, the tools, the rod and staff.
Right.
Which that rod and staff is the scriptures, man.
Mm-hmm.
Psalms 23. Your rod and staff comfort me, man.
Yeah.
If I may, my brother's probably seen it, that video of that sheep that was in a ditch, and the dude came and grabbed the back legs and pulled him out, and he's just panicked and jumped right back in the ditch.
That's Jake, ain't it, though?
Yeah.
It's guidance.
Yeah, we're gonna take it back to the Manners and Custom book.
Okay. All right. So we had okay. This spirit was actually going into what you were just talking about, brother. When your precept you pulled out.
Where are we at exactly?
Or it says the young boy off.
Chapter 18.
18.
Chapter 18?
Yeah.
What
That was the
part?
shepherd.
Young boy, often the shepherd. Yep.
I don't see that.
Oh, yeah. Did you go through the let me see where you go. Right there. The shepherd. Well, no, the sheep.
Yep.
They're the shepherd. Right?
Oh, the shepherd.
Whatever.
You scroll down there today.
Okay, off the shepherd.
All right. Yeah, come. And so the job is passed from the older to the younger until the youngest of all becomes the family shepherd. Such must have been the customs when Jesse raised his family of 8 sons. And Samuel said unto Jesse, Are here all thy children? And he said, There remaineth yet the youngest, and behold, he keepeth the sheep. David, being the youngest of the 8 sons, became the family shepherd. His experience as a shepherd, the shepherd lad, were often used to illustrate his beautiful psalms.
Mm-hmm. We can get Psalms 23 real quick.
Done.
But because David was able to relate that that occupation of being a shepherd into his walk later on. You know.
I got it. This is Psalm chapter 23 and verse 1. It says, Yahweh Shem Yahushai is my shepherd. I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters.
Right. So he maketh us to lie down in green pastures and leadeth us among still waters. So Yahushai always has gotten us out of situations and made us safe. And we're going to begin to see that as we walk through this dark place and these dark times. Through Jacob's trouble, we're going to see that this wisdom that has been granted, that we've been granted access to, is going to keep us safe. It's going to keep us protected.
If I can add a point, he said, can you read that again, bro?
Yeah. Psalms 23 and 2. It's 23 and 1. It says, The Lord, or Yahweh Shem Yahushai, is my shepherd. I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures.
Yeah, that's the point. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. And when you read John the 6th chapter, right, you had Yahushai and his disciples, which he was grooming them up to be, shepherds. And you had that large multitude. You had like 500 people, I believe. Right, he had 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. What was the first thing Yahushua told his disciples? Make the people that lie down in the grass. And then he fed them, man. So he was training his disciples, like, listen, hey, y'all gonna be shepherds to feed the sheep, man.
Yeah.
Oh, that's heavy.
Beautiful.
And that word maketh too.
Yeah. And that's what he said in John 6. Make them to lie down. Make them to sit down in the grass.
Yep. And that goes back to that rod. Like when you look into the shepherd's rod, that shepherd rod was mostly needed when they were about to go over a difficult stretch of land, or like you said, a river, or a small bridge that was just like plank. The sheep will get frightened, and that's where the shepherd would get out that rod and literally have to beat. Like there's a video on YouTube. If you look up the life of a shepherd, there's a video about like Himalayan shepherds.
Yeah, I think I saw it.
I'm gonna send in the chat, boys, we'll after the video. But I mean, it even like multiple videos. If you watch it, they use that rod to literally beat the sheep across particular parts of the journey.
Yeah.
But at the end of it is what? Those green pastures. You got it.
Can you jump down to that the next paragraph?
Shepherd's guard.
We'll get we'll go ahead and get the shepherd's rod. It goes into that, what we talking about, since it's a spirit. We're not going to read the whole chapter, just kind of touch on points in this, manners and customs book.
This is a shepherd's rod. It's like a policeman's club. It's often made of oak, wood, and has a knob on the end of it.
So it was like one of them, think of, Jake, your mom pull out that belt, but it's that very specific belt. It ain't that, the nice Italian leather. It's the one with the knobs and the metal on it,
Yeah.
That's what that she pulled that one out.
Metal rings?
The metal rings on it.
Got some wear and tear on it.
Because go ahead and read it again.
It says it is like a policeman's club. It is often made of oak wood and has a knob on the end of it.
So it had a knob on the end of it,
Yep.
Keep on going.
Into this knob, nails are sometimes driven so as to make it a better weapon.
Right. So that rod it shows you that rod, which we get hit by it too sometimes.
Yeah.
We're not the sheep were hit out of their own defense, right? Telling you that we good. I already done walked the path for you, so go ahead and go. Right? Yahushua is going to use that too. Right? We're not exempt. We're his sheep too. We follow Yahushua. Right? We're of that sheepfold.
And one of his main rods is Esau, man.
Yeah.
Because, the hell and the oppression that Esau put on us, that's the Lord putting that rod on us so we can consider the Lord's ways. Consider our shepherd, man. I got a quick one for you. This is Micah 7, verse 14. Feed thy people with thy rod, the flock of thine heritage, which dwell solitarily in the wood, in the midst of Carmel. Let them feed in Bashan and Gilead as in the days of old. Right? Bashan and Gilead was known as those fruitful, large pastures in our land. You see, but the way we're going to feed in those fruitful and large pastures once more, as we did in times past, he's got to feed us with his rod. You know, the rod, it says, I'm going to read it again, feed thy people with thy rod. I'm talking about these scriptures, man.
Yep.
The flock of thine heritage, you have the nation of Israel, man, particularly, you know, the elect. You see, because 2/3, they're considered as those goats in Matthew 25. He's going to separate and put them on his left. You know?
Yeah, we'll hold that real quick. Can you continue on that, Yasrala?
Gone. And I was just gonna add to it. Reminds me also to the Lord says, I will chasten them little by little to put them back in remembrance. And so we get that every day. Like, you know, we said, you take the club with the nails in it, it may hurt. So different stuff that you may go through, the Lord may jack you up, you know, and then the way you're like, damn, but you know, what is it? It's the way to put you back in that pure remembrance. It's the way to put you back on that rightful path again. This is what we experience every day.
And those nails, if I could grab this real quick, those nails in the scriptures is also known as the words, you know, the words of the Bible, man. I'm going to just prove that real quick. This what is it? Ecclesiastes chapter 8 and verse,
That show you that Yahushua was that lamb too.
Yeah.
You know, they put those nails in his hands.
Yeah.
You know, that being hit like that from, because Yahushua is you know, Yahweh's sheep. You know, he's a follower of Yahweh.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, it says it pleased him to smite him.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So for him to continue on his walk, he had to hit him with them nails too, which was all part of his sacrifice. You know. You find?
Yep, Ecclesiastes 12 and 11. It says, the words of the wise are as golds. When you go into gold, you just like look at an image of it. It's pretty much like what they use to prick cattle with to get, you know, large herds, you know, back in their right place. In modern times, now those golds have two prongs at the end, and it has electricity, it's electrical charged up.
Yeah.
You have to pretty much, you know, shock their ass to, you know, get back in the right place. But it says the words of the wise are as gold. So that's how these scriptures are. You know, it shocks you.
Yeah.
You know, makes you get straightened up. And as nails fastened by the master of assemblies, which are given from one shepherd.
Yeah. Hey.
What was that?
Ecclesiastes 12 and 11.
Okay, gone.
And that's solid.
Yeah.
You know?
That's your pop. Okay, it says, all right, I'm going to start back from the top.
Mm-hmm.
It is like a policeman's club that is often made of oak wood and has a knob on the end of it. Into this knob, nails are sometimes driven so as to make a better weapon.
Oh yeah. Let's go ahead and read this real quick.
God.
Yeah, this is that same scripture in the NLT, Ecclesiastes 12 and 11. The words of the wise are like cattle prods, painful but helpful. Their collected sayings are like a nail-studded stick.
Ooh, hey, that show you. That's because they intimately dealt with them tools.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That shows you that, you know, that was used, and that rod was used to get you in place. You know, get you right. That rod of correction was not no light thing, you know, which we're tasting of right now. You know, we going through the sweet, you know, of understanding that we Israel, and, you know, understanding that, you know, we got brothers that's like-minded on this side, and, you know, 144,000, we got a chance of that, you know, but that bitter, we're going to have to taste of that on that journey as well. You know, being smite by that rod, you know, having to go over those valleys and them hills and being tired until we get to a certain point, you know, and then refreshing back up and going again, you know, that stop and go, that because that was a year-round thing, you know, to walk and to be a shepherd, and also, you know, to be a you know, the sheep as well. You know, they was tired, you know, had to, you know, shed that hair that they had grown off, you know, through the hot and cold. Right, so
that's why David said he was pricked in his reins. You know, that's the Lord's nails, man. Like even when we go through bitter things, like it's kind of like like you feel like an emotional prick,
Yeah.
you know. But that's the Lord chastising. That's
Yep.
those prides.
Yep.
I'm gonna finish it off. It says, "The words of the wise are like cattle prods, painful but helpful. Their collected sayings are like a nail-studded stick, with which a shepherd drives the sheep."
That also shows that the word, the thing that we go through, especially the word though, because Jake want to hear sweet things and shit. Jake want everything to be sugar coated. All right, and said sweetly to him. That this proves that the message is going to be painful at times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And again, if it's not, if you're left to your own devices, right? You avoid the word in its truest form. I mean, you're gonna be lost.
Yeah.
You're not gonna make it to the final destination, because at the end of the day, everything that we're going to, so that Lord's will, we can make it on a chariot.
Yeah.
Lord's will, we can receive immortality. So if you choose to shy away from whatever admonishment or whatever it is, just know you might not make it.
And since this was the occupation of the youngest child, how do you think the father would feel if you had lost one of his sheep by sparing that rod? Right? The scriptures say, "Spare the rod, spoil the child."
Yep.
Right? You had to at some point, as much as it could be a favorite sheep, because in the ancient days we was real close to the sheep is it's a fun animal to dwell with. They're goofy, they're soft and they play around and stuff.
Yeah.
But if you didn't want to hit it to continue on to the journey, because you had Jake gets sensitive, right?
Yeah.
You might lose that sheep,
Yeah.
or you will hold everybody else up, and then you losing sheep out the back, or the dogs is that they in the front now, and
Yeah.
got sheep running away in the back. That could be a big inconvenience to the flock.
Yeah.
From you sparing the rod. So that was important for the young man to learn as well. The consequences of sparing it.
Yeah.
That's what David said. I was like,
No, beautiful.
I was gonna say that's why David said, was it Psalms 119:71? It's good for me that I have been
I
afflicted.
had that
Oh, man.
experience. It's Psalms 119:71, and it reads, "It is good for me that I have been afflicted, that I might learn thy statutes." See, so it's required for us to have to get knocked into the right path, man. And knowing Jake, we're stiff-necked people. That likewise, we're tending to Jake, the sheep. So they got to be knocked on that right track, man.
Yeah.
It's continuous just cycle of us going boom, boom. Lord do it to us, and we got to learn how to do it to everybody else, because we're judges at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Lord will, man.
Yeah. If I go, please.
Mhm.
This is Revelation 3:19, and it reads, "As many as I love, I rebuke and chasten. Said, be zealous, therefore, and repent." So just going into what you're saying, it's called tough love, man.
Yeah.
It's tough love, and we have Esau that never want to lay a hand on our children, but we're taught in the scriptures, right? You correct the behavior of that child by putting a rod on him. That's the only way he's gonna remember. And you either reward him with good or bad. And that's the balance in your Yahweh Shema Shai. And that's how the child learns, right? To continue that same process. Because it worked on him, it's going to work on his children. You got it.
It's gonna go into it.
Kylie, grab this real quick. This Psalms 119 and verse 67. "Before I was afflicted, I went astray, but now I have kept thy word."
Yeah.
This is Psalm of David, man.
Right.
Yeah, we have been led astray. The scriptures talk about that. I think that's Jeremiah 23. How the pastors of the flock, they pretty much weren't with us. Right? We had been led astray. Because they thought our people love to take them sweet things. The scriptures say, prophesy unto us sweet things.
Yeah.
Our people are easily led astray by any way of doctrine. But this is actually going like coming back to the scriptures and the custom of of keeping or trying to keep the commandments best you can, believing on your Yahweh Shai, right? That's a hard thing, and it requires work and also rebuke. That's why most of our people, they kind of shy away from coming back, to their heritage, right? So that's why they all over the place.
Yeah.
God,
if I may, I was going to say, if I may add, that's why Scripture says, "Blessed is he who is not offended in me."
right?
Because there's two things that are going on here. We come out of this world. There's one thing that's like, and that offense is the word, which goes back to what the brother mentioned, which is the nails. It's easy to be offended, because it's a rough thing to swallow. But with the two things that are happening is he's removing the impurities from us so that we can also learn to be better leaders. So it's like a twofold thing that's happening in this walk, man. That's beautiful. You know, when you really think about it, man.
Yep.
You know, just through the Spirit, right?
Oh yeah.
I got one for you.
Okay.
It's Proverbs 10:17. He is in the way of life that keepeth instruction, but he that refuseth reproof erroreth. Let me get that in NLT. People who accept discipline are on the pathway to life, but those who ignore correction will go astray. And in the KJV, it said instruction because that scripture. What did you say earlier? You was pretty much talking about how it's tough love, and basically you said like that's
balance.
Yeah, balance.
Tough love and
It said something else. I can't remember. It's a lot, But ultimately, like it says, he that keepeth instruction is in the way of life, because pretty much like the Lord knows how He created human beings, especially Jake, man. So really these scriptures is like our instruction manual on how to live life.
Yeah.
You just don't pop out the womb just thinking that you know it all, like you know how to live. No, like the Bible is your instruction manual on how to live on the planet Earth.
Yeah. Can we get that word instruction?
Yeah. You want it in the online?
What does it say in the blue? We might go to the etymology. I know I've read the etymology before.
Yeah, let's see. Instruction, Strong's H4148. Maushar, discipline, chastening, correction, rebuker, doctrine.
Doctrine. Yeah. The doctrine. Because we was taught, the shepherd had to be taught by his father how to do the job. And he showed them. He was probably like, dang, that kind of rough with them sheep, baby. That was the first thing we seen the apostles and elders. It's like, dang, them was kind of rough with the people. They don't have no mercy. And you come in to understand, like, man, most of our people, they hard-headed, man. And they foolish. They need to be, they need to have that hard chastisement. That's why, the police, what were they? Because when you read at the top of the chapter of, the Manners and Custom book, what does a police officer do? They apply the law, right? Those are the ones that establish the law. They are, pretty much the
enforcers.
Yeah, the enforcer.
Romans 13.
Right.
That's the Lord's rod.
Mm-hmm.
And Esau got that. I got them back in the old times. They had the batons.
Mm-hmm.
That's that rod, man.
I had a real quick point. That's why yesterday at camp, the elder Bon Spy was going to like basically the Wooders, we were wondering, well, that's what you're doing when you're going astray. When you don't got, you're not coming under the words of understanding. You wondering, and we as wilderness now, and everybody's wandering around, and we're trying to make sure we keep the sheep, the flock, not wandering. You know what I'm saying? That's our job.
Yep. We can go back to that custom book.
And I was just going to add too, just that in Proverbs, I have a precept here, just Proverbs 21:16. The man that wandereth out of the way of understanding should remain in the congregation of the dead. And it's pretty much a kind of laying back of what you were talking about before. Even when you're guiding the sheep, if you don't give that sheep that proper direction, that proper, order, what's going to happen? The sheep can stray, and they say, become prey for another animal.
Yeah.
The same thing with Jake. We out here in the streets, it's the same point, when dealing with the police officer. We have instructions, we have guidelines within the instruction manual how to deal with law enforcement here. That's why Jake be getting smoked. Why? Because he wanders out of the way of the understanding, and Jake wind up getting shot up in the car by the police. You know what I mean? So when you it's layers to this thing, man, and there's depth to it. And it's beautiful when you have the understanding. So being in that, keeping that understanding and staying in that pathway is the key to life, man. This is the instruction.
This is our Proverbs 15:10. Correction is grievous unto him that forsaketh the way, and he that hateth reproof shall die.
There you go.
Yeah. Matter of fact, since he brought that out, we gotta get the etymology of instruction. Let's go get that.
All right, I got it right now. I'll just leave it at that.
This is on online etymology dictionary. The word instruction as a noun, it says action or process of teaching. I'm gonna jump down. It says teaching.
Hey, because even in the not even too distant past from now, like in the school systems, when the teacher, would be, teaching the class, she would have a ruler right next to her.
I remember that.
Yeah, you remember?
They had the paddle.
See, had that paddle.
The principal's office, he had that wooden paddle hanging there in his office. Yes, sir.
Like as they teach, your arithmetic or history or whatever, Like that teacher, she's looking at the class, and whoever ain't paying attention, she get that power.
Yep.
No, that's instruction. That's how the Lord is with us. As He's teaching us, He chastises us at the same time, so we can stay focused on His word. You know.
Yep.
It's a little more. It
Okay.
says arrange, prepare, set in order.
Set
Right.
in order.
Right, because that word in, right? You go to the word in, right? Just it comes from in, right? It says to pile, to build, right? And then struction, right? You get the word structure, right? Or to steer, right? It says to spread, to construct, right? It really goes into to build, right? And we're building this this structure, right? That house of David is being built up, right? And it's a pathway as well. Not only is it's a way up, right? Because a structure, where do you build? You start from the foundation and you build up, right? And the Lord is preparing a place, of course, but He's also protecting us and giving us a covering, right, in this time. But also showing us the way, right? It talks about that way being, that John 10, right? That going through that straight gate and being in that not going up the other way.
Yeah.
So if we can get back to the
Come on.
to the book real quick. Did you have something, support?
Well, it was a little more to that.
Oh, okay.
It says an authoritative direction telling someone what to do. A document giving such directions. Even when you go above that, it says from Century Dictionary, it says teaching is the general word for the imparting of knowledge. Instruction has the imparting of knowledge for its objective, but emphasizes more than teaching, the employment of orderly arrangement in the things taught. So essentially, that structure, that what's the word I'm looking for? That pretty much the route in which to go.
Yeah.
Because even how I believe you just quoted it, entering at the straight gate,
Mhm.
the narrow path. That's giving the people a sense of direction and what to do.
Right.
And how to, and then we're walking it too. It's not like we're just saying you have to go that way and we're just turning and walking the other way.
Right.
No, this is the way. Follow us. Like even
Right.
Paul said, be followers of me, even as I am of Yahweh Shai Mashiach.
Right.
So,
The scriptures also say the kingdom of heaven is within you. So as people come and they sit among us, these the commoners, they see the relationships that we have together.
right.
They're seeing the beginning stage of the kingdom of heaven. So like how you said that the teaching is within it is more than instruction. It's a world, pretty much a cosmos, right? This small economy, this small cosmos is being shown as an example of how we're supposed to act.
John, if I may add, King David said that in Psalms 50. He said, "I will set them in order right before thine eyes."
Right.
And so that's what was being done right now in front of in the eyes of the nations, man.
Mhm.
That structure, that foundation is being set in order right now as we speak, man.
Wisdom of Solomon 5.
Come.
Where's the Salaki? I got a real quick one. Proverbs 4:18, it says, "But the path of the just is as the shining light that shineth more and more unto the perfect day." That perfect day being, when Yahweh Shai comes back and that, the new covenant being implemented. But that light is, in the land of darkness, in the midst of Babylon the Great, pretty much the land of darkness, there's a light being shown, man. And it's growing brighter and brighter as, coming into that perfect day.
Mhm.
We'll get back to
Yeah,
it.
you got it, guys. Right.
It is very okay. Here, we'll start at the top. It is like a policeman's club. It is made often of oak wood and the knob on the end of it. And into this knob, nails are sometimes driven to make it a better weapon. It is very useful for protection, and no shepherd will be without it. It was.
So we could get 1 Samuel 17 and 34. Just real quick. Because it said it was used as protection, as also as leading the flock too. And a hireling ain't gonna go those lengths to protect.
No.
I got it.
Go ahead.
Said 1 Samuel 17 and what, 24?
34.
34. Come. This is 1 Samuel 17:34. And David said unto Saul, thy servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear, and took a lamb out of the flock. I went out after him and smote him and delivered it out of his mouth. And when he arose against me, I caught him by the beard and smote him and slew him.
Right. So that's David, right? Which we hope to be the house of David, right? He's showing us an example of how to, to be that good shepherd. You know, the lengths that you have to go to tend to the sheep, and you'll be rewarded of that, right? By being made strong in a time when you need it. He had a physical example and proof of why he wasn't scared. Which is things we do now by offering up our. See, that's why going out into the highways and byways is important. It's important to show your loyalty and to make you strong, because not only now do you don't ever since that, you can feel the spirit of you by reading and preaching. You can feel the spirit of you coming upon you, where you don't give a fuck about a nigga opinion.
Yep.
You don't give a fuck about that little silly hoe. She's like, oh, what the hell y'all doing? You don't give a fuck about her. You're gonna see another one.
Street preacher makes you look more masculine.
Right.
Yeah.
You know how to lift your voice up, and you know how to get through it. Because if it gets to to taking it there, it is what it is. But that's all through that spirit, right? We going through harsh things now, and it's making us harder for the times to come. You got something, bro?
Yeah, I just want to get the scripture that you quoted, the Romans 12:1. It says, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable unto the Most High, which is your reasonable service. Just linking up with what you said, when you consider, what David, how the Lord prepared David, by making him, slay the lion, what we just read, we have to be willing to offer up our bodies as a living sacrifice. That's what Yahweh Yahushua is looking, and that's the example that Yahushua said himself. That's a part of the service.
Yeah.
You got it.
Got a real quick point too. That's also why how the scriptures say false prophets like it's a ravening wolves. Well, what do you see the apostles doing? They're debunking all these camps teaching false doctrine. So that's like in David when the sheep got the wolf tried to not wolf but the lion. The lion tried to slew the lamb. Hey, what happened? David was there to take him out. That's what happened. That's what our apostles are doing. They're debunking all these different false doctrines and things that are trying to lead the sheep astray.
Yeah, and that's so that he was on point too, because that happens in an instant. A lion ain't no animal that just it just show up. No, a lion is very strategic in its attack. It's very poised, and it crouches, and it gets hidden where you can damn near can't even see it. So that shows you the importance of being circumspect, watching. Right, the tedious, soft skills, as Brother Rock always like to say. That the tedious talents that it takes to be a shepherd. Right, it took a lot of being detail oriented to figure out a time to attack. Understanding angles and war.
Tricks of the trade.
Right, it is the tricks of the trade. There's a lot of intangibles that it took to do that job. Which this is a very delicate operation that we're doing here. You gotta when you put your hands on these scriptures, you gotta know what the hell you're talking about.
That's right.
So that's what having that understanding of being in the shit, being in the in the trenches daily, it's gonna build you up. Tending to the flock, being circumspect.
I'm going to actually want to bring out a precept. This is Exodus 14 when you go into the history. Like how we're reading in this, it says how the word will protect you also as well, because all throughout the scriptures, you'll find different instances where that was exactly the case. This is Exodus 14, start at Exodus 13. And Moses said unto the people, fear ye not, and stand still, and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will show you today. For the Egyptians whom you have seen today, you shall see them no more again. And here's the point. And the Lord shall fight for you, and you shall hold your peace. Okay, so that that we take that same mindset when we're out here in the highways and hedges, like the brother said, because this thing brings some austerity out of you, as a man and dealing with them. So a lot of times you see Jakes come up, and they bugging out, and they want to fight with the scriptures at the end of the day, because we have the truth, and it's undefeated. The truth, the Lord is going to fight for us in every situation. Whether it be, like I said, you got some nigga woman coming up or some bug out Jake coming up, talking about, like that one Jake who came a couple of weeks back talking about how they found the Dead Sea Scrolls. Now he was just, He's losing it. Yeah, but you know, but see, at the end of the day, you know, this one teaches you what did he say? He said, so you can be at peace. Here in Exodus, he said, basically, just relax, fall back. I got this. You know what I mean? The Lord's gonna fight for us, and that day that we're coming into, you know, it's gonna be that same thing. I brought this out. We're part of that number where the Lord's gonna fight for us, man. He's gonna defend his flock at the end of the day. So again, just bringing back into remembrance and understanding what this thing does. It brings that austerity out of you, man, and you have to be able to accept it if you're a man of the Lord, that you may go thereby. You know?
Yeah, you can't be no soft ass shepherd.
No,
you know, afraid of some wolves. You know, afraid of the cold.
Yeah.
You know, if
Yeah.
you're a soft ass shepherd, your whole flock is destroyed, man.
Yeah.
I got a quick one though.
Mhm.
This is 1 Peter 5:2 in the NLT. And this is Peter, and this is David, right? In which the Lord Himself set up to be, you know, the head of His church.
Yep.
Says, care for the flock that this is the NLT. Care for the flock that the Most High has entrusted to you. Watch over it willingly, not grudgingly. So, you know, caring for the sheep, man, caring for, you know, the Lord's people, you know, teaching them. It shouldn't be an act of, you know, pulling teeth.
Yeah.
You know, like Apostle Hard's been going into lately, man. Like, you should do this willingly.
Yeah.
You know, knowing that these are the Lord's spirits that you feed, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it says, not for what you will get out of it, but because you are eager to serve the Most High. And the Lord is showing us contrast of both. You know, He's showing us His true shepherds, and He's showing us these hirelings, man. You know, such as, you know, ISUPK telling the Lord's sheep, it's okay if you get the juice inside your womb.
Yeah.
It's okay if you go to this wolf, you know, and take counsel of this wolf, man. You see? And that's why when you read prophecy, Ezekiel 34, when Yahweh Shah searches out His sheep in that dark and terrible day, right? It's about to be a lot of hell to pay, man, as the Lord gathers His sheep into His bosom. Verse 3 says, don't lord it over the people assigned to your care. So pretty much, don't be like, you know, some tyrannical taskmasters over the Lord's sheep. Because at the end of the day, you're not the chief shepherd.
Right.
You know, you just been entrusted, you know, to pretty much, you know, manage His span of control, if you will. So it says, don't lord it over the people assigned to your care. And we have beautiful examples of that, man, like Apostle Tahar, Apostle Gabar, Apostle Ramla, Apostle Carr, and our elders down here in GMS Dallas. Like, yeah, we follow, you know, strict guidelines that we got to stick to, but they're not breathing down our necks, you know, like just nitpicking every little thing. Huh?
Where your friends at?
Yeah, they're not nitpicking every little thing, man. You know, like they understand that, like, as the Lord has called us, you know, all to be, you know, ministers, like we all have particular different styles and whatnot. They're not trying to make us cookie cutters, you know, of Apostle Tahar. Like, you got to do it just like, no. They're not lording over us, man. You know, that's a part of that liberty that's inside of Yahweh Shah.
Yeah.
You know, but at the same time, there's still structure and order. You know, don't get it twisted, right? But it says, don't lord it over the people assigned to your care, but lead them by your own good example. And we have beautiful examples, man. Humble teachers, humble, you know, leaders, man. You know?
Which shows that they come in the spirit of Yahweh Shah.
Yep.
You know, because we don't want Yahweh Shah to judge us like that either. You know, we don't want Him to come to us as if, you know, like we want Him to have mercy on our walk. You know what I'm saying? So going into what we bring to the table, you know, brothers have different gifts and whatnot, you know, and then they judge accordingly. You know.
I got
It was
one.
one
Okay. Oh, no,
Yeah,
Salaki.
God, you good. It says, and when the great shepherd appears, Yahweh Shah, you will receive a crown of never-ending glory and honor. Why? Because you were faithful in the little things. So now when the great shepherd comes, it's like, all right, come up here. It's time to promote you. You know, because you handled your basement well, right? You handled these small matters well, right? You was consistent with your work, week in, week out, going out there, highways and byways. You know, you flip the talents, you multiply what I gave you. All right, so all right, here go 10 cities, son. You know, like that's literally what's about to happen. Revelation 2. Hold fast to what you have. I'm finna give you power, man.
Hey, can we jump down on that manners and customs to that last paragraph of what we reading? It start out with
Can I just bring out just one precept just to lay back off what he said,
Yeah.
just real quick. And this is pretty much the whole matter. This is Luke 19:13. And he called his 10 servants and delivered them 10 pounds. And he said unto them, occupy until I come.
mm-hmm.
You know, and that word occupy goes into the carrying on of this business.
Right.
And so that's essentially what we've been in charge of to do. I brought this out, we part of that number until the chief shepherd come.
Right.
Right.
Which is a family business.
God,
Like you said, that promotion is going to come.
God. Jump down to where, brother?
The last chapter of that
Okay.
shepherd's
The
rod.
scepter.
Yeah.
God. All right, the scepter, which is an ancient, which the ancient kings of the East usually had with them, had its origin in the shepherd's rod.
Can you read it from the top again?
God, the scepter, which the ancient kings of the East usually had with them, had its origin in the shepherd's rod.
So yeah, the origin of the shepherd's rod came from this, or the origin of the scepter. So like it came from the shepherd's rod, which these other nations, they took it and tried to, take it as, they look down upon it, right? Like just like how they look down upon this ministry, right? Just like how they look down upon us. But after, after some time, they tried to emulate it by taking it and set it up as a priestly position, as a royalty, sign, right? Yeah, the token of royalty, But also too, like you said, it makes me think of that promotion. The Lord is going to take the shepherd's rod from us and give us that scepter, right? Because we've been doing this work diligently. We can get Wisdom of Solomon 6:21. You got that? Yep.
So Wisdom of Solomon 6:21, it says, "If your delight be then in thrones and scepters, O ye kings of the people, honor wisdom that they may reign forevermore."
Yep. So that this wisdom and this experience, because what wisdom, knowledge, right, is or wisdom, I'll say, is pretty much the coming together of knowledge and experience, right? So through wisdom, through the knowledge and experience, we get wisdom, right? We take heed unto that, we'll get a scepter, right? So that's through performing the occupation that we've been called to, is to be a shepherd, man. It's to lead the people and to show them the way. Right? And if they want to go off, that's fine, but we do our best to maintain the flock. At least maintain what we do have, right?
I was just gonna add, bro, like a shepherd, you had to learn the knowledge of what it takes to be a shepherd, to understand the sheep, so on and so forth, and then gain that experience, learning lessons along the way. Oh no, that didn't work like I thought it would. Oh no, that didn't go the way I thought it would. Oh, I should have did this instead of this. Gaining that experience along the way to become the best shepherd.
Right. Yep, that's right. You can go back to that manners and customs.
I got it.
What kind of breeze? Okay, yeah.
This is Revelation 2 and 25. This is Yahweh Shai, the chief shepherd. But that which you have already, hold fast till I come. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end. And what was Yahweh Shai's works, man? All right, watching over the sheep. Right?
Yep.
To him will I give power over the nations, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron. As the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Father. Because these other nations, hey, we still gonna be in that shepherd position. Except this time we're not gonna have to teach Jacob, because all of Jacob gonna get that new covenant. But now we're gonna have to shepherd the whole world, these heathen nations, man. So beat their asses now and set them in order.
These sheep now.
Right.
These goats.
Yeah, right. Yeah. For real.
So goats, exactly.
Dogs and shit.
Yeah. God, beasts. Back on the scepters or back on
Yeah, no, keep going on the scepter.
Okay, come. All right, says all right. Let me start from again. It says the scepter, which is which the ancient kings of the East usually had with them, had its origin in the shepherd's rod. Kings were considered to be shepherds of their people. Thus the scepter or rod of the kings became a symbol of protection, power, and authority. It goes on to say, Young's translation, Micah 7:14, rule thou people with thy rod, and thy flock of thine inheritance.
Yep. So yeah, this occupation is gonna lead us not to understand how to lead our people, but also like you just brought out the other nations, how to rule the earth, So that promotion is coming, man. Yeah. Did you have something, Rob?
Yeah, I did. I'll get this real quick because you had made that point about wisdom. Reading that, what was it, Wisdom of Solomon 6. Mm-hmm. This is Job chapter 28, verse 28, it says, and unto man he said, behold, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom, and to depart from evil is understanding. And I just wanted to get that because the brother had also brought out a precept, I forget what it was, talking about how, brothers have been assigned to our care. Also linking up with what Yahushua said to Peter, feed my sheep, possessive, meaning the sheep, all the brothers are really Yahushua's possession, which is an extremely fearful thing, when you consider, case in point, like if you work, if you're ever in a situation where you watch it over somebody else's kids, you know what I mean? I'll just put it like that. It's a fearful thing because if something happens to one of those sheep or happens to one of those kids, that's just gonna fall back on you.
Yeah.
And their father gonna be, ain't nothing like wrath of a father who done lost a kid, or lost a sheep, because again, the occupation of shepherding, more times than not, the shepherds they're guiding a group of sheep that aren't even theirs. It's a skill set that basically they're selling. You see what I'm saying? So it's a skill set. Somebody sees the way that they do it, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna give you my flock. I'm gonna trust you with my flock, and to get them from here to here. But they're not actually your sheep.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So it's a fearful thing, because if you mess that up too, your reputation is destroyed. And your livelihood is lost.
Yeah.
What the fuck are we gonna do with a shepherd that can't take care of the damn sheep?
Yeah. That's,
I was just gonna add, because in the Lord giving us, the gift of faith and allotting us a level of authority, that also comes with responsibility.
Heavy.
So, that's the point.
okay.
It's Psalms chapter 74 and verse 1 in NLT. This is Psalm 87. Oh, power, why have you rejected us so long? And that's what it feels like, man. We've been going from captivity to captivity, right? But now we understand that he's starting to receive us, starting with the elect. It says, why is your anger so intense against the sheep of your own pasture? Remember that we are the people you chose long ago, the tribe you redeemed as your own special possession, and remember Jerusalem, your home here on earth. You see, so the Lord purchased his own sheep with his blood, man. You see, so you best believe, pursuant to Ezekiel 34, like we quoted earlier, he's coming back for him.
Yeah.
This Psalm 79 and 13. So we thy people and sheep of thy pasture. It's talking about Israel, man. This proves that only Israel can be the Lord's sheep. That's why Yahushua said in Matthew 15:24, think not that, but I've come to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, man.
Yeah.
That's why Yahushua came, man. It's for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. When you go into that word lost on the online etymology dictionary, it literally means spiritually ruined and inaccessible to good influence. Who's that? That's Jake, man. And they showed a perfect example of that, and they cloned Tyrone.
Yep.
That's Esau, right? Keeping us in that lost, degenerate estate, man. That's who Yahushua came for, man. To gather those lost people up, those lost sheep, man.
Yeah.
So he says, we thy sheep, Salakia, we thy people, and sheep of thy pasture will give thee thanks forever. We will shoot forth thy praise to all generations. And this is a generation right here. So the Lord's sheep are being found, and we're giving him thanks. Right. By taking heed to his words now, man.
Yeah, because the mercy we received is undeserved, and that's what makes it so much more special. Because we don't deserve anything, it's just the Lord's of the Lord's mercy. There's a scripture that says it's of the Lord's mercies that we are not consumed. I think it's in Lamentations
3:22. Yeah.
Yep. We can go back to that. We can jump down actually to the shepherd's flute.
Oh, shepherd what?
The shepherd's flute.
Shepherd's flute. Got me. All right, shepherd's flute. A dual pipe flute of a reed is generally carried by the Arab shepherd. It is true that minor strains of music come from this flute, but the heart of the shepherd is stirred, and the sheep of the flock are refreshed by the invigorating music that comes from the simple instrument.
See, and that's why the scriptures say that we have piped unto you, but they have not danced. Like Like this word going out is supposed to be refreshing to the nation, you know, and they're supposed to be ready for this journey we're going to take.
Right.
But they're not getting it, you know, because the scriptures talk about how, you know, because a shepherd is not going to be playing the flute as they cross a river. You know, he's going to have his staff out. He's going to have the tool to do the job. But the shepherd did that when they were in comfort, right? We spend our comfort time feeding the sheep, right, and playing the song where they can be invigorated to move on to the next location, right? We within a transition period of where we're gaining rest and about to be able to move. But our people, they ain't resting. You know, they aren't being stirred up and ready to go after we piped unto them. So they're gonna get destroyed. They're gonna not be prepared for the journey, man. And we gotta be willing to understand that and know that that's the case. You know.
Now, I may add too that you know, Scripture also lets it be known there's only 144,000 who know that song. Revelations 14,
Right.
That is right.
Mhm.
Who sung that new song? So there's an appointed number of men here on the earth that are only able to sing that song, be able to use that instrument, right? Which makes it again, you know, very personal. You know, this is a family affair.
Right.
And men, you know, the brother said men, just to reiterate.
God.
Yeah.
And last night at the camp, that spirit, they
Yeah.
were talking about the flute.
Yeah,
It was a lady right at the end.
Yeah.
Started playing the flute.
Yeah.
You know, that's why Scripture says spiritual things are spiritually discerned.
Right.
You know, to the spiritual man.
Yeah, I found that kind of relaxing.
At the Day of Atonement too. After
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
You know.
Hey, because that's the spirit. Even when you go to the ancient world, right? Well, in our customs, right after the Day of Atonement, there will be a blowing of the horn.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yep. We can go ahead and read that again.
All right, come. It says, a dual pipe flute is a reed generally carried by the Arab shepherd. It is Slakia. It is true that minor strain of music come from this flute, but the heart of the shepherd is stirred, and the sheep of the flock are refreshed by the invigorating music that comes from the simple instrument. There can be little question but that David used such an instrument when he was with his flock. In the same way the shepherd lad have done for centuries around Bethlehem. It is of interest to know that the word of the Arabic language, which is equivalent of the Hebrew word for psalms, is manzmor, which means played on a pipe or flute.
Yeah. So the song it means played on the pipe or flute, and we know that this song that we're singing is the preaching of the kingdom of heaven.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which is the the most beautiful song you ever hear. But yet our people aren't ready to go and move up out of this place. You know, they aren't ready to leave Babylon. You know, they rather stay.
Kind of gospel means good news. Supposed to be good news to the nation of Israel that the kingdom about to be set up. Yahweh shall about to deliver us out of here. But we don't look at it as good news.
Mhm.
It says the evil hate the light, need to come to the light, lest their deeds should be reproved. So they're good. They're good being astray and being all wandering in the wilderness like they were in ancient times. Yeah.
Now it's just beautiful. I was just reading here because when you actually go into our customs, it's true. You know, there were instances where we would. That's why that precept was brought. I've piped. You know, we would have. If there's another name they call from too, where they were like pipers. They would go throughout the village and they would play. And, you know, the kids would come out, you know, we would come out as little Jakes and dance around them and stuff, and you go all throughout the village, man. Like, you know, like right before Sabbath and stuff like that.
Mhm.
The history was dope, you know, so I just thought that was beautiful, man. You know, we visualize these things.
Yep.
But anyway.
This First Chronicles 25:1. It says, moreover, David and the captain, this one, David was pretty much setting up that order, you know, to how things should be ran in the temple, you know. It says, moreover, David and the captains of the host separated the service of the sons of Asaph and of Heman and of Jethunan, who should prophesy with harps, with psalteries, and with cymbals, and the number of the workmen according to their services. I'm going to get that NLT. David and the army commanders then appointed men from the families of Asaph, Heman, and Jethunan to proclaim the Most High's messages to the accompaniment with lyres, harps, and cymbals. Here's the list of their names and their work. So it goes on pretty much speak about the particular men and what instruments they played, you know, things of that nature. You know, so my brother be playing, you know, music in the background, you know.
Yeah.
That's what the prophets did, man.
Yep.
Beautiful.
We can jump down to the next. It's a little bit down, but
Okay.
if you go to several flocks sometimes allowed to mix, and we'll get those two paragraphs. That several flocks sometimes allowed to mix and ability to separate the sheep, and then we'll go ahead and close it out.
Okay. Okay, all right, several flocks sometimes allowed to mix. More than one flock may be kept in the same fold, and often flocks are mixed while being watered at the well. For the time being,
Can you get a Micah 2?
for the time being, no attempt is made to separate them.
Right. So yeah, so yeah.
Yeah. More than one flock may be kept in the same fold, and often flocks are mixed while being watered at the well. For the time being, no attempt is made to separate them. Jacob saw such a mixture of his flocks. Then Jacob went on his journey and came into the land of the people of the east. And he looked, and behold, a well in the field, and lo, there were 3 flocks of sheep lying by it.
Right. So, it shows you an example of, the flocks, when they would come to a watering hole, they would, stop, and they'd be allowed or able to mix and mingle in with the other sheep of another shepherd.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But Yahushua is calling us. See, we've been brought into this world and scattered, right? But through this word and through Yahushua's, calling, my sheep shall hear my voice. He's called us, and now, it's time to go. You had to have that ability to not mix, right? You gotta read that.
God, this Micah chapter 2, verse 12. I will surely assemble all Jacob.
Right. So the Lord is assembling Israel, right, or Jacob. Right. Go ahead.
All of thee. I will surely gather the remnant of Israel. I will put them together as the sheep of Basra.
Mm-hmm. So, and when you go into that word Basra, what does it go into? A sheepfold, right? So, as we've been brought into this sheepfold, which is pretty much when you go into what a sheepfold is, it's a barrier where sheep, they can't get out of. They're forced to, be up in there. They were regulated by, wood planks and barbed wire, where they couldn't leave.
15 in the city.
Mm-hmm, yeah, a prison pretty much for the sheep. But then it came to a certain point where it's going to come where the Lord is going to call us and open up that sheepfold. He's going to return unto him his remnant, his sheep, right? You can keep on going on that.
It was a little more.
Okay.
It reads, as the flock in the midst of their fold, they shall make great noise by reason of the multitude of men.
Oh, they're going to make great noise, right? That's that crying out,
Mm-hmm.
Was that it?
Guys,
Okay.
That's beautiful. It reminds you of what? Who was that coming from Basra?
Yeah.
Mighty to save, mighty to come get his sheep.
Right.
Right?
Yep, and Basra, like we said, that sheepfold, man, which
Yeah.
that how is this place not Babylon the Great, man? It's done kept the Lord's sheep in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
By putting us on chains and having us work 9 to 5s,
Yeah.
from then to now, it's the same shit, man. We still trapped in this place.
Yep.
And the Lord has to come get us out. So you niggas that's trying to leave on your own way, you ain't gonna be able to do it like Yahushua, man.
Nope.
And that voice is here now. We're hearing this voice now.
Yep.
Keep on going on that.
The ability to separate the sheep.
I had a quick one.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's John chapter 10 and verse 16. I'm starting at verse 15. As the Father knoweth me, even so I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. And other sheep I have which are not of this fold. Them also must I bring, and they shall hear my voice, and there shall be one fold and one shepherd. See, because at the time, you had Southern Kingdom over there. That's why Yahushua, say he's going to raise up the tents of Judah first, and the apostles, so to Acts the 1st chapter in Luke 24, they were commanded to, just teach in Jerusalem, but then into the uttermost part of the earth. Because who do you have in the uttermost part of the earth? Or Arcer, right? You had the Northern Kingdom, man. The Latino tribes, Native Americans, the Seminole Indians, right? So ultimately, Jeremiah 15:33, Judah and Israel have been impressed together. You see, so now the Lord is gathering that sheep that's of the other fold through His word.
Yeah.
He pretty much reiterated the same thing in John 11, I'm gonna get to the point in verse 52, 51. And this spake he not of himself, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Yahweh Shah should die for that nation. And not for that nation only, but that also he should gather together in one the children of the Most High that were scattered abroad. See, and that's a precept that a lot of Christians try to use and see. So he's actually he died for other nations too. No, that other nation that's talking about is Jake that was came to the Gentile mindset. Especially the Northern Kingdom that was over here. You see, so us preaching in Babylon, like the Lord said in Jeremiah 29, I'm going to raise up prophets in Babylon. This was very pivotal, man, to ultimately, to put us all back in that one sheepfold.
Which that's how you know that they don't understand the basic metaphor that he just used. To call a sheep in, you had to have raised that sheep. You had to have dwelt with him for a long period of time. You can't just call a random sheep and it's gonna have a master, man. You know.
And Jake doesn't go into the etymology of words. I believe the etymology is for that word is fule, on the blue letter, which basically is of the sons of the 12 patriarchs of Jacob. Letting it be known again that it's all about a family affair, man. But I'm going to continue here. So this is the ability to separate the sheep. This is beautiful. I was just reading something. When it becomes necessary to separate several flocks of sheep, one shepherd after another will stand up and call out, "Tahu, Tahu," or a similar call of his own choosing. The sheep lift up their head, and after a general scramble, begin to follow each one his own shepherd. That's beautiful, man.
Right. So as the Lord is breaking down this stronghold of Babylon the Great, because what does that word Babylon mean? Yeah, it means confusion, but we often leave out that confusion with mixing.
Yep.
Right. See, we have been mixing, gathered together with all these different people. You got to work with a damn Elamite at the job, and he's stinking up the damn the break room, cooking a rat in there.
Curry.
Yeah, nigga, shit,
Rat
curry.
curry.
He got curry fingernails under the shit, nitpicking and penny pinching about every fucking thing, or these damn Edomites, man, red facing all over the damn office room. We've been mixed together with these people and confused from our heritage, but the Lord is making a call out, to separate us. Keep going, bro.
I got something real quick.
Okay, yep.
If I may. This 1 Corinthians 15, and I'll start at verse 22 and read 23 as well in the NLT. It says, "Just as everyone dies because we all belong to Adam, everyone who belongs to Hamashiach will be given new life. But there is an order to this resurrection. Hamashiach was raised as the first of the harvest. Then all who belong to Hamashiach will be raised when he comes back." So just like you had read in the Manners and Customs right there, it said that the sheep lift up their heads, in a general scramble and begin following one another after the sound of the shepherd's voice. So that chief shepherd calling out to us, through the spirit of Prophet Yahweh Shai being placed upon the apostles. It's a trickle down effect. Every man's going to be in their own order. It's like a pyramid, if you will. Yahweh Shai at the top, and then King David, so on and so forth, the 12, and then the rest of the 144,000.
Yep. And then that scramble, it made me think of the hastefulness.
Yeah.
Because when we first heard this call, you was like, oh shit, I gotta read 1,000 precepts, I gotta watch 1,000,000 videos.
Yes.
I mean, but and it's like you get to it. You don't even know which way you're going, but you just doing everything. Studying the Hebrew. You got it.
Psalms 119 to 60. I made haste and delayed not to keep that commandment.
Yeah. And keeping that commandment is holding fast to a call, because you get the word command from commandment, right? So the Lord is commanding a room or commanding his people, his men to him, and we're following that stead by giving us this instruction, right? You see how it's coming back. We coming back to our heritage,
I got a quick one.
Mhm.
Titus 1:9, it says, "Holding fast the faithful word as he had been taught, that he may be able by sound doctrine both to exhort and to convince the gainsayers." But the point I wanted was that holding fast the
Mhm.
faithful word as he had been taught, because we learned this from men.
Right.
At the end of the day, obviously through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shai resting upon those men, but that's just made me think of that what you had just read out.
And they also had examples. The sheep had examples. As he said, they're following along through the path, one after another, right? So if there was a little intrusion in space, or somebody was trying to walk an opposite way, you would still be, following your sheep, the ones that was of that sheepfold, going back to the same shepherd.
And this proves that you can't be no solo. Yeah, this proves you can't be no solo dolo Israelite too, man. Because you got a lot of Jake think, oh man, I don't care what they do. I ain't finna hold count. I'm just gonna watch. I'm just gonna watch it on my phone.
Yeah.
Nah, bro, this is a congregation. The fact that it's called a congregation, because you go to that word congregation, it literally means amongst the sheep, amongst the flock, man. So part of being the Lord's flock, you gotta be around each other, man.
Yeah.
Now, of course, even amongst being around each other, we still have our personal walks, but the Lord is calling us into an assembly, because that's what David was known for doing. All right. What did he do? He gathered the northern kingdom and southern kingdom together, man. And that's what's happening now, pursuant to Ezekiel 37.
If I may, it's like, I was gonna say, individuals like that, when Jacob's trouble really picks up in high gear, individuals like that are gonna bug the fuck out, because even in the spirit, even though we may be separated from brothers potentially, but still in the spirit, we're still gonna be with them. Because again, we've been doing this for a significant amount of time, so that camaraderie, that unity in spirit is not going to go away. But in that time, man, if you just been out here just lone wolfing it, thinking you the shit, making your YouTube videos, bro, you ain't gonna have it, man. You're gonna bug the fuck out, and y'all gonna fuck you up, man.
That's how the order. It's like the king that was trying to go and sacrifice himself. Lord jacked him up with that leprosy. Yeah. That's what's happening. That's out of order. You trying to do your own thing. The Lord has set up men that's gonna lead you to Him.
Yeah, that's pride.
Oh yeah.
And you see that unity amongst the Lord's men right now, bro. Like, kid you not, like, because out here in GMS Dallas, we usually break it off in 3, sometimes four different camps.
Yeah.
But like Brother Yawan, he'll be going around with his camera, at the end of camp, and recording each brother, recording each camp, of Great Millstone Dallas. And like, we can't hear the other camps, like what they going into.
Yeah.
But like, oftentimes, bro, like, we're all going to the same thing, same precepts coming out. Like, you can't make it up. Like, this happens every week, man.
Yep.
You see, but that's the Lord's sheep being on one accord, man. So for these dudes that think that they can do it by themselves, man, hey, you just not the Lord's sheep, bro.
Yeah.
Huh?
There's so many benefits that come with the body, man, because you in this flesh, Jake got to realize, we need to be rejuvenated. Of course, through spirit and Yahweh Shah, but that's what he has his men set up for. You get on the phone, you can have a whole conversation with Jake. Who you gonna have when you out here by yourself? Who you gonna call? Some big in the world? Right. So things are isolation isn't always good.
Yeah, I got some. This is Ecclesiastes 4:9. It says, 2 are better than 1 because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, one will lift up his fellow.
There it is.
But woe to him that is alone. When he falleth, for he hath not another to help him up. And what is a sheep that is alone? A sheep that's alone, you can count him as dead. I was thinking of that. I was thinking of saying that, when I you heard, he that wandereth out of the way, that understanding remaineth in the congregation is dead. Because that's to not understand that you need to show accountability, which you can only do that to another human being, right? You can only show that you're accountable and worthy of, and show your gifts of brotherly love through another brother.
Yep.
So how can you do that solo dolo?
Yep.
Yeah. You can't do it. You can throw an assist to yourself off the glass, nigga. You gonna lose the game.
Yeah.
You gonna show charity to yourself?
Yeah,
Gonna
right.
buy yourself a gift.
Nigga got the rebound and the assist and the bucket. Come on, man.
Nigga serving himself.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna...
Yeah. So it's obviously like that. They don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
You have to like in the instance of a sheep or a flock about to be attacked. if a sheep sees one flock go, you just like, and that's to show you that Jake is sheep, bro. Because when a nigga run, what everybody else do, just start running, right? If one sheep run, they all gonna start running. You know, that herd mentality, which is it's a good thing, right? It's sometimes a good thing because the Lord has put, you know, like we always say, like we in the spirit because it's like one body, like that group think mentality is good if it's in righteousness, you know, being of one accord. Like if you don't have to speak to a brother, you just look at him and you know, like, you know the precept I want. You know what I'm thinking right now. You go out with a brother and it's like, you know, a damn mo come up and you look at your brother, you like, you know what it is. It's sometimes that's gonna work in our benefit in these last days, bro. You know, because something happen, we look at each other. That communication is gonna be understood, a nonverbal. You know, that being one accord. You know,
It's spiritual power.
exactly.
So, I got something real quick. Hebrews 10, verse 23 and 24 in the NLT. It says, "Let us hold tightly, without wavering, to the hope we affirm. For the Most High can be trusted to keep His promise." Oh, I'm sorry, 24 and 25. It says, "Let us think of ways to motivate one another to acts of love and good works, and let us not neglect our meeting together, as some people do, but encourage one another, especially now that the day of His return is drawing near." You know, so that's just to land back off the point. It says, "Let us not neglect our meeting together."
Can you get that word encourage?
This is NLT, so
Okay.
yeah, I can read it in the KJV though. It says, Hebrews 10 and 25 KJV. It says, "Not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together, as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another, and so much the more as we see the day approaching."
Yeah, or exhort, I guess.
Let me see, I got you. That word exhort, exhorting, Strong's G 3870. I'll just play it.
Strong's G 3870. Parakaleo. Parakaleo.
All right. It says to call to one side, call for summon.
Yeah.
That's what it oh, you got it.
Yeah, no, you got it.
Yeah, that's what a shepherd does, man.
Yeah,
To his sheep, he calls them to his side.
Yeah.
Like there's a famous YouTube video, you know, I'm pretty sure you brothers saw it, you know, but for the listeners on the camera, there's a particular YouTube video, you know, it had, you know, two different men. You know, one was the true shepherd and one was, you know, this random dude. And it was a field full of, you know, sheep. You know, and the one that wasn't the shepherd, he had tried to call to him, no response. But then the true shepherd, he called to him, instantly started coming up, man.
Yeah.
You see, so that's what the Lord's sheep gonna be doing, you know, amongst the congregation, man. As we hear the Lord, you know, calling, you know, by His watchmen that He got out there on the highways and byways, Luke 14:23. You know, compel them, you know, go out to the highways and byways, and compel them to come in.
And if you look at it, because you gotta watch the video, man, because this is very spiritual. If you look at the beginning of the call, few come, but then you see more and more as the end comes, like it's just a greater movement, you know. So it's like
Large multitude.
it's like 2 or 3, and then like 4 or 5 start to come, and then that sheep that's there, you know, is just standing next to the shepherd. And then you start to see a flood just out of nowhere, you know. It's the first couple ones, but then it's like they all just start to follow, you know.
Those first couple ones are those he goats.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
And then the rest were like, okay, all right, it's safe.
Yeah. Yep.
That's kind of like us, like, you know, brothers be talking about it recently, but like the flood of believers is gonna start coming in.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
I believe that.
We can go back to that. Was there more on that, or that's pretty much it?
To admonish, exhort, to beg, entreat, beseech.
That's all the things that we went into as shepherds.
Yeah, the last one, subsection F, it says to instruct, teach.
Yeah. Yeah. See.
Hey, just to land back on the brother's point, you know, because there will be a great influx of Israelites, you know, coming in at the last minute. Yahushua gave that parable, Matthew 20, you know, but you go back to when Yahushua first started his ministry, you know, he started to pick the 12, and eventually, you know, the 12 became those apostles. He sent them forth. When you read Acts, the first chapter, I believe, don't quote me directly, but I believe like the number of the believers in the church at that time in the first chapter like 300. Then the second chapter, it was like over 1,000, and then like the third chapter was like over 3,000. So you see how the Lord's all about increasing, man. So yeah, there will be a great influx because this Acts 2.0, man.
Yep.
Ooh.
Yeah, what's the scripture says? Apollo watered.
Yeah.
Most
I planted.
But the
Most
most
High
high
gave
gave the
increase.
increase. That's the point. Not good.
So that's why, you know, and the apostles and the elders, they're not worried about, you know, Jake getting offended and leaving the camp, you know, or because, bro, the Lord going to replace your ass, man.
Yeah,
Just like he did, you know, Judas. In Acts the first chapter, he replaced him with Mattathias, man. So Lord finna, it's about to, and that should put us more in fear.
Yeah.
You know, knowing that it's about to be a lot of Israelites, because that's why Yahweh says, you know, hold fast to what you have so no man can take your crown. A lot of Israelites, a lot of Jake that's in this thing, they're going to get their crowns taken by this large multitude finna come in.
General scramble begin following one another in his own shepherd. They are thoroughly familiar with their own shepherd's tone of voice. Strangers have often used the same call, but their attempt to get the sheep to follow them always fails. The word of Yahushua are indeed true, and the Eastern shepherd life, when he said, "The sheep follow me, for they know his voice, and a stranger they will not follow, but will flee from him, for they know not the voice of the stranger." That's John. So that's just heavy going to what we said, you know.
Ain't no strangers going into you know, of course these other shepherds, you know, but ultimately like what they speak forth, you know, their doctrine.
Yep.
You know, because this doctrine is known as a woman. That's why when you read Proverbs, I believe it's like the 2nd or the 4th chapter, it speaks about that woman that flattereth her lips, that stranger, you know, and that's why the elect, they're known as virgins, man, because they're not going to be, you know, seduced, you know, with that stranger's, you know, lips, that stranger's doctrine, man.
Can we get Ezekiel 34 and 12? And we'll go ahead and close out on there. 12 through
34 and 12.
I got it.
12 through 16.
God, this is Ezekiel chapter 34, and verse 12 through 16. As a shepherd seeketh out his flock in the day that he is among his sheep that are scattered, so will I seek out my sheep, and will deliver them out of all the places where they have been scattered in the cloudy and dark day.
Right. So the Lord is, you know, while the plagues are about to draw nigh, you know, and the clouds and doom and gloom is coming, the Lord is, he's calling his sheep, and they're approaching him, you know.
Verse 13, and I will bring them out from the people and gather them from the countries.
Right. And that last cloudy day is going to manifest when those missiles are dropped on Babylon the Great, you know, and we're going to be brought through them clouds. You know, we're going to be brought to Yahushua, which his name means he saves, or he is salvation, you know. Yeah.
And will bring them to their own land.
Right, and this is, you could link this up with Isaiah 14, you know, how the Lord is going to bring us to our own land, you know.
And feed them upon the mountains of Israel by the rivers.
So the Lord is going to feed us, not TD Jakes, not, you know, it ain't coming from nobody else, Oprah Winfrey, you know. It ain't going to happen from nobody else, man.
And in all the inhabited places of the country. Verse 14, and I will feed them in a good pasture.
Right, in a good pasture, because this place has been terrible to our people. You know, it's been all we've learned through this place is death. Yep. You know, that's the only thing that we've been taught, and we've been taught to live that, if you can even call it that. We've been taught to live a death style, you know. And the Lord said He's going to bring us to a good fold.
God, good pasture.
Yeah, good pasture. You know, which is righteousness, man, which our soul seeks for. You know, even though we go off, but through Yahweh's sacrifice, He sees where our spirit lays, and that we ultimately mean good.
God, and upon the high mountains of Israel shall their fold be. There shall they lie in a good fold, and in a fat pasture they shall feed upon the mountains of Israel.
Yep. So that fat pasture, we're gonna feed them upon the mountains of Israel, which we're gonna be in our homeland. You know, and we're gonna be feeding off of our inheritance, which is the heathen. You know.
Verse 15, I will feed my flock and I will cause them to lie down, said Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Verse 16, I will seek that which was lost, and bring them again to that which was driven away, and will bind up that which was broken, and will strengthen that which was sick.
Right. So through this journey, right, we have been broken, beat down, and wore out. But the Lord is coming back with healing in his wings. And he's coming back to, take those tears of this journey out of the way and give us his gift that he's been wanting to give us, by getting to, our sanctuary, man, that place of rest. So if anybody,
It's a little more.
Okay.
But I will destroy the fat and the strong. I will feed them with judgment.
Yep. So the Lord is going to destroy the fat and the strong. Those who is lifted up now, they're going to be brought down. Sat in the ground. Esau, Edom, that mountain is going to be broken.
Yep.
All these other heathen, right? Elam, Moab, right? They're going to be sat down, man. And we're going to be brought up. And the meek is going to inherit the earth,
This is Revelation 7:14 concerning that large multitude. And I said, Sir, and I said unto him, Sir, thou knowest. And he said to me, These are they which came out of great tribulation, Jacob's trouble, and have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Therefore are they before the throne of the Most High, and serve him day and night in his temple. And he that sitteth on the throne shall dwell among them. They shall hunger no more, neither thirst any more. Neither shall the sun light on them, nor any heat. For the Lamb which is in the midst of the throne shall feed them, and shall lead them unto the living fountains of water, and the Most High shall wipe away all tears from their eyes.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite scriptures. Because the Lord is the Lord is gonna give us his good pleasure. And this work that we do, and this journey that we take, and although as strenuous as it may be, and the wear and tear it takes on your mind and your body and your spirit, ultimately that's what we got to look forward to. The Lord healing all of that. The Lord watering us when we break down, but he gonna keep and we of the elect, man, we gonna make it, So that's all we hope for.
He said in Luke 12:32, Fear not, little flock.
Mm-hmm.
It is your Father's good pleasure to give unto you the kingdom, man.
But that's part of it. He has to smite us for us to reach the destination he want to show us to.
Yeah.
And a sheep can't really fathom that. Right. So that's just the humility it takes to understand, like, man, the man that we following is great, and he has the way. He's been there before. He's seen it. You know what I'm saying? Yahushua has been there before. He understands the journey.
This is one of my favorite verses here. Just want to kind of add on to what you're saying. This is Isaiah 52. I'm going to start at that top. It says, Awake, awake, and put on thy strength, O Zion. Put on thy beautiful garments, O Jerusalem. For the holy city henceforth here shall no more come into thee. So more come into thee, the uncircumcised and the unclean. Shake thyself from the dust, arise, and sit down, O Jerusalem. And I always thought that part was beautiful. It's like shaking thy dust from that low place. Mm-hmm. When you rise, you stand up, you sit down on what? On your glory.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what's happening here. It's just, it's beautiful when you have that understanding.
It makes me think of when Peter healed the man at the gate. The blind man.
Gone.
And he stood up and he was cleansed from his filthiness because he went and rejoiced in the temple.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's exactly what we're doing. We stood up and have become clean through Yahushua and his miracle that he worked on us. Go to Ezekiel the 37th chapter and talk about that.
Yep. Goes on to say, shake thyself from the dust, arise and sit down, O Jerusalem. Loosen thyself from thy bands of thy neck, O captive daughter of Zion.
Loosen the bands on the neck. The Lord's taking us out of captivity.
Hey.
Being brought, that's low. That's low of the low.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what you think about being how we said that transition is going to come from being the shepherd to receiving that throne, that scepter. The Lord is going to take his youngest, right? Israel, Jacob, the young, and bring them up, and we're going to receive that scepter, man, that throne to judge,
For thus saith the Lord, ye have sold yourselves for naught, and ye shall be redeemed without money.
Through the blood of Yahweh Shai.
All of Yahweh should be on shop.
Yeah, so that's why his sacrifice is great,
Yeah.
you know, because it's worth more than money, right? It's worth more than gold and rubies. Like, you can't buy your way into salvation, bro. You know.
It's so worthy to be praised.
Yes.
You know. There's just
Exactly.
no way, you know. And even that's putting it lightly.
Yeah.
You know, it's an action thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Facts. So, any brother have anything else? Yeah, with that, you know, we're going to give all praise, honor, and infinite glory unto our Heavenly Father.
Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai Ba'Shem HaKadosh.
Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, taught us his truth. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect. Keep pushing. Shalom.
Shalom.
Uh,